Good morning and welcome to your February 2026 astrology forecast. This month is going to be a big month. There are a lot of astrologers out there that are saying February 2026 is the most important and biggest month of your life. And they aren't exaggerating necessarily. There are a lot of big things happening in February 2026 that have never happened before in history. So it is definitely a very big month energetically, a very big month for humanity as a whole, and you are indeed playing a part in humanity and what we are collectively moving towards. So in that instance, yes, it is. How strongly will you feel this? That kind of all depends on your chart and your own personal energy and how you choose to engage with it. But we are going to get into all the particulars. This is a big month with Saturn conjunct Neptune, which is the event that Saturn conjunct Neptune happens every 36 years, but it has never happened at the 0 degree point of Aries, the beginning degree point of the entire astrology wheel. That has never happened before. So that is the true seeding point. So we'll get into that a little bit more. And then this does start the eclipse season this month. We will start off the month with a full moon, and then mid-February there will be the solar eclipse. So there is a lot going on, a lot of conjunctions with the North Node, and there's just a lot going on. So we are going to get into all of that here. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining. I'm Sarah at Life with Training Wheels, where I utilize things such as astrology, Western tropical astrology, whole sign house system to be precise, and tarot and other spiritual and health and wellness tools, such as meditation, singing bowls, things like that, to help guide you to your highest and best version of yourself, to help you release and identify any self-sabotaging behavior, self-limiting beliefs, victim mentality, so that you can live your truest and best life. So if that is something that sounds like it resonates with you and that you want to stick around for, then please do like, comment, subscribe, engage in some way so that I will keep showing up in your feed. And if you are returning, thank you so much for returning. Your support means the world to me. Okay, so if you've been watching my monthly videos for a while now, then you know I like to look at the Sabian symbols for the planets that are staying within a single degree for the entire month, because I believe that they're indicating to us a lesson that we need to focus on for that month, and it kind of gives the month the overall flair and feeling. I feel like it's like a potent background noise that these planets are sitting at particular degree points. And if you're not aware of what the Sabian symbols are, there's a Sabian symbol for each of the 360 degrees of the zodiac wheel, and they are symbolic images providing deeper insight for astrological interpretation and personal understanding. So they were developed and channeled in 1925, so they are pretty recent, by astrologer Mark Edmund Jones and medium Elsie Wheeler, and they act as a living system of wisdom to reveal hidden layers of meaning in horoscopes, offering guidance on life's challenges, potential, and spiritual path through poetic imagery. And I do find that they really do symbolize, like when I do these monthly readings, I do feel like they fit for what we are collectively going through as a society. So I really do put some weight to them. So we are going to go through them. So, and I like going to James Burgess. He's this website has my favorite descriptions of these. So the where Uranus is going to be all month is in the 28th degree of Taurus, really the 27th degree, but where you read it is the 28th Sabian symbol. So this is a woman pursued by mature romance. Perpetual new beginnings. Limits of the physical body need not stop us from staying alive to new possibilities and opportunities. Maturity in relationships. So really quick before we start getting into this. So Uranus actually at the beginning of the month is stationing direct, so it will no longer be retrograde. So, and Uranus is the planet of, sudden insights, sudden things changing, kind of shaking things up on its head, revolution, innovation, things like that, where we can revolutionize and innovate things. So the sense of a time-based linear degrading of capacity is refuted. We do not need to grow old and die off, but instead always have the capacity to find a new beginning. For example, we can fall in love even when this is driven mostly by the heart's joy and sharing rather than sexuality and procreation. A woman past her change of life experiences a new love. We do not avoid disappointment by denying life, but by trusting in faith. It is useful to consider the journey of the incarnated self as an aspect of the soul's journey through eternity. The rigors of physicality forbid the survival of casual preferences and demand that only true enduring qualities are examined in depth. Eventually, all potentials will be realized because life is ageless and endless. However, this pruning process facilitates timely optimization of the soul's most important current priorities. By identifying fully with all eventualities, we can come to understand that external events are simply expressions of conscious and unconscious personal choices rather than enforced limitations. The feeling state of appreciation, a most joyous and sought-after experience, is heightened when this pruning process has reached a certain level of maturity. With fewer distractions and less confusion, the more mature individual can focus and project more of the soul's deepest qualities. This, of course, attracts the external situations that express these qualities in irrefutable clarity of form. Motivation is of great importance. Whereas imagination is indeed a prerequisite for life optimization, it is not enough. It is a necessary but not sufficient condition. Without motivation, insufficient will is awakened to project imagination into substance. Rewards then fall short of expectation. Expectation itself is an inherently arising condition of the human spirit. We, as a species, are imbued with hope. Even after previous disappointments, we can be persuaded into romance. Disappointment. Disappointment is to be avoided. It is demoralizing and robs us of will. This lack of will brings further disappointment and begins a downward spiral. The trick is to not take any deprivation as final. The struggle between the soul's priorities and the ego's propensities is that which drives the life of a progressive person. Such a person always returns to the light after fact-finding sojourns into the darkness. This is the only means by which maturity can develop. We may well be light beings whose instincts ever draw us home, yet we are entirely fascinated by the glamour and romance of the darkness. Long may it be so. Without this, there is no driving force to propel life vigorously. In a false understanding of modesty, which is so often excused to hide the real problem of understimulated will, we are in danger of settling for less. We must not lose heart. We must refuse the lesser with a confident expectation that the greater is at hand. So it is not by denying life that we avoid disappointment. It is by trusting in faith. So this is kind of beautiful, really, because Uranus in Taurus is shaking things up and causing revolutions in our financial system, our food system, our just overall values, and, shaking things up and getting rid of the systems that don't work. So kind of going into that darkness. And with Uranus being direct, we've kind of, while it was retrograde, we've kind of, established and started to break down the systems that are breaking down. Like, there's so many economic crashes going on right now. Like, the dollar is plummeting, silver's going up, the cryptocurrency or whatever, like everything is changing. Our resources, Taurus rules resources, material, food systems, things like that are changing, and it's our overall value system too, right? And so we needed to see the darkness so that we could see the light and have the motivation to change. And especially with Uranus turning direct, I believe we are going to have the motivation to find the new ways forward, that work for the collective. Uranus is not only revolution and things like that, but it does also represent the collective and innovative ways to get through things, and to not look at what has been, like capitalism as we know it as a disappointment, but look at it more as like a lesson to be learned, right? Okay, so then we want to talk about Neptune. Neptune just in January, actually just 2 days ago, January 26th, Neptune entered Aries, and it'll be at that 0 degree point all month long. So we read Aries 1. So a woman rises out of water, a seal rises and embraces her. So this is the recognition of potential, emergence out of the realm of potentiality into the realm of reality, becoming the essence seed of your soul's incarnation. So as we read through this, just keep in the back of your mind that Neptune is all about the imagination and the hidden realms, and where the veil is thin between this world and the other worlds. And it is our imagination. It's also where we can be deceived, and where there are no boundaries, and deception is a real thing. It can cloudy things up, but if you tap into it correctly, it can really enhance your intuition and make things more clear. So that's kind of the lens through which we are reading this, because that's the planet that is sitting here. So everything that ever comes to pass has had its first beginnings in the realm of potentiality, the ghost of an idea not formed, neither expressed nor explicit yet, in seed form, containing the unconscious potential for mature realization, which Uranus was talking about maturity as well, right? The vast majority of seeds are not germinated and so fail to realize their potential. In the beginning, to become an individual, we need to emerge from the sea of the collective unconsciousness, to leave the womb, so to say. First, the desire is simply to be, because it is still far from certain whether survival itself can be obtained. Knowledge of polarity awakens the power to create something out of nothing. Kind of talking about the beginning, right? Polarity. The seal is a metaphor for the phallic principle, and the woman rising from the depths symbolizes emergence from the pre-existent waters of infinite potential. Out of that mystical nothingness, something arises, drawn by a receptive potential. Separation is born, and it requires this to be different from that. The polarity of feminine and masculine is thus created. Also, awareness is awakened and expands. Duality implies relationship between things. One is more rational and pushy, the other more emotional and responsive, and their relationship is sex in its essential form. The potentiality of space to give way has an awakening effect upon spirit to enter and express itself. Spirit naturally expands to enter wherever its desire nature will be accommodated and met by a willing response. The instinctual mind. It is important to understand that the instinctual mind is an untrustworthy organ of deeper understanding. Yet when we are moved by the heart, such activation can be reckless, assertive, courageous, and purposeful, and will nonetheless realize only harmony and joy. From this, we see that the heart must be engaged if our values are to be expressed sincerely rather than as empty intellectual concepts. What was dormant potential at the beginning is now vibrant, with interdependent emotion and purpose interacting together. These interactions generate vibration, life itself, in which things perpetually change. There are constant separations and reformations, and the realization dawns that, with initiative and responsiveness, anyone can take advantage of every moment. Focusing this turbulent life force is the awesome task of a mighty will, operating through a clear mind with a precise vision to produce a laser beam of intent. This power will shape uncommitted energy into the exact form that reflects its vision. What you see is what you get, and seeing is active, not passive. If we lose concentration, the result is clouded and requires the corrective process of refinement. This is feedback, which can teach humility and help develop awareness of our interpretations. Also, it binds us into considerate relationships so that character can be smoothed out. If we get self-obsessed, then we fail because we forfeit the ability to recognize more obscure aspects of the infinite potential within any situation. Whew, that's a big one right now. The inability to see things kind of from an eagle-eye view, right? Another new beginning is always guaranteed despite errors and pains. Restating original blessing is evidence of faith, innocence, and purity. Hope is eternal, and faith is a birthright. So this pairs very well with Uranus at the 28 degrees of Taurus, right? Creating the new things and having the willpower and the desire to do it, and understanding that the polarity is what helps us keep moving forward and keep doing better and keep learning to reach our highest potentials, to see the blessing in every challenge, and to remain open-minded enough to see that there are an infinite potential of solutions, not just the one that we are so obsessed with in this moment. And I think that is really a lesson in this moment. Okay, so now we get to Pluto. Pluto will actually be moving to this 4th degree of Aquarius. So we look to read the Sabian symbol of Aquarius 5 this month. So when we read this, think of Pluto in your mind. So Pluto is the planet of not only power struggles, right, but it is the planet of transformation, of the death rebirth cycle, of going into the dark and seeing, shining light to it and sending compassion to it, and really transforming and transmuting. It's the alchemy of bringing good things, transforming the darkness into something better. So just have that in mind. So this is the Council of Ancestors. Building upon what went before. We make our claims and feel personal pride in our achievements, but we are really no more than the next in a long line. Wise reconciliation of idealism and pragmatism. The interaction between the group and the individual is exemplified when the group supports the visionary initiative of a leader who in turn is dependent upon the power available when tapping into old cultural stories. Whatever endures despite challenges usually becomes stronger and can then add its strength to empower contemporary creative initiatives. A council of ancestors is seen implementing the efforts of a young leader. Being true to our values is only possible when we have values to be true to. As individuals, we are sponsored by our relationship to the ruling body that keeps alive old traditions of our culture and heritage. A council of ancestors symbolizes the principle of antecedents. What has gone before us is the fundamental aspect of who we are. It is the fundament upon which we build our personal identity. The whole of our background mobilizes itself continually to serve us and to facilitate a further refinement of potentialities in the modern era. The cultural characteristics which have proved their value, and hence their continual re-embodiment in the hearts and minds of one generation after another, create an immortal dependence within each individual born. We simply could not be what we are without what our ancestors were. The self ultimately must fulfill itself and is destined to be a challenge to the world at large. Yet the capacity to establish our uniqueness of being requires the strength of clear and solid roots, which we inherit socially from those who went before. It is good to remember this and appreciate that the path we walk is well trod. Whilst avoiding sterile conservatism, it is highly beneficial to show some deference to the track makers. They were pioneers, not settlers, and they found ways to innovate and discover many of the aspects of our treasured lives that we now need and could not imagine doing without. This is as much to do with ideas as things. The enduring reality which anyone creates is the overall ideal which we accept for ourselves. These ideals define us more than possessions do, and they have evolved over a great deal of time. The mystery of this degree is how to develop power through absolute self-integrity. That is big right now, too. Authenticity and dependability are truly respected qualities that win the trust and support of our fellows, which brings influence and responsibility. Yet being true to our values is only possible when we have values to be true to. And I think that's something big right now is where do our current values come from, and do we really believe them? It kind of goes back to this. We inherit a lot of belief systems and stuff as children that are really self-preservation mechanisms that kind of stand in our way of achieving the things that we may be able to achieve in our adulthood if we just let go of those things that we needed to have to keep us safe, like ideas around money or self-value and things like that. So it's this idea of letting go of the things that are standing in our way. Like, what are our true values and where do they come from? And looking to our, a lot of what I've been seeing and talking about in the astrology is bringing back some of the ancient wisdom that has had to go underground because people have tried to destroy it, because it does lead to this self-sovereignty that this is talking about. So, but we need to have an idea of what our values are, what we're fighting for, what we're going for, what transformations need to happen. So This is beautiful as well. Okay, so now we look to Chiron and Aries. Chiron is remaining in this 23rd degree of Aries the entire month. So this Sabian symbol is an open window and a net curtain blowing into a cornucopia. The shaping power of higher forces, allowing spiritual energies to inspire and impress us, allowing higher forces to shape our our lives. And so while we're reading this, think about the energy of Chiron being at this degree point. Chiron is the wounded healer. It's where we have an inner wounding in the Aries I am energy, where we've held ourselves back for the sake of others or been afraid to be ourselves. So think of that energy while we are reading this. So when we grasp the essential spiritual principle of threeness, we open up to further inspired input of a spiritual dimension. We first master the secret of the yin yang Tao triplicity: push, push back, adjust, and then allow the higher aspects of beingness to impact upon our inspiration to expand our claim of abundance. Personal attainment is evidenced by the spiritual state of abundance. Symbolically, the open window is inviting, the prevailing breeze is unseen, yet points towards the horn of plenty. From this, it is understood that for those ready to respond, subtle guidance must not be ignored if we are to seize the day. In Sufism, the mystery of the earth plane is seen to be abundance. The perception of oneself as poor is false, either a false interpretation or a false strategy of mind. A Sufi sheikh instructs a student who is traveling to a strange town, seek out the luckiest person you can find. The student is perplexed. What is called luck is one of the outward indicators of a spiritually advanced person, explains the teacher. In a real sense, luck is a spiritual principle. When we have learned well what to do and how to be, then we attract good fortune. It has a lot to do with sharing. The wise have learned to embody the spiritual principle of open-handedness as an example of the golden rule. This teaches us to be to others the way we want them to be toward us. What we give out, we get back. So being generous attracts generosity. The unconscious aspect of mind interprets our generosity as evidence that we are well off and therefore leads us to expect to receive good fortune. This expectation is self-validating. Personal attainment. Therefore, personal attainment is evidenced by abundance. This need not be financial or material. It is a state of being, felt as the absence of want. A strong, clear ego brings confidence because we are being true to ourselves. Such confidence brings good luck because abundance is the natural condition of an aligned being. When there is alignment with all parts of our abundant being, then we have attained our natural, authentic state. Therefore, this degree shows an irrepressible gift for capturing the richer rewards of life and sharing them generously with others. Human and cosmic truths are interactive, each reflecting the other, and here we see that the cosmic truth of abundance is matched by richness in the material world. Also, we remember to be both grateful and graceful, and avoid the smugness of those who vainly dispense favors as though their bounty is an aspect of self-love rather than cosmic love. Uninhibited enthusiasm is a spiritual practice which gives evidence to the wisdom of mutual, generous sharing. Giving and receiving with an open hand, we become more and more certain that abundance grows if it flows. And this is so true, and this is what we need in the world as well. Yeah, I love this part. What is called luck is one of the outward indicators of a spiritually advanced person. We are abundant. We all have the ability to be abundant, and that can just be, it's largely a mindset, right? We may not have as much money as we want or whatever, but if we really let go of that want and live life with an attitude of gratitude, then the more we see that we have everything we need, right? And it really breeds luck and opportunity and things like that. If you are grateful for the things that you already have, then clearly Spirit is going to reward you with more, because you are not wanting, you're not needing, you're not begging, you're not being in that victim consciousness, right? You're just grateful for simply being alive sometimes. So that is a good principle to live by, and what we are working on learning this month. Okay, so now we can get into the chart. So that's kind of the background energy of what these planets are teaching us. So now we can get into what the planetary movements are doing. So from February 1st to 6th, we will have this stellium of planets continue to be in Aquarius. So this is the personal planets plus Pluto, right? So in the beginning of January, right, they were in Capricorn, and having this stellium is a rare thing. Normally, all of the personal planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, and the Sun all move at different rates. Mars being the slowest of them, Mars taking about 2 months to go through each sign, whereas the other ones go through between 3 to 5 weeks. So to have them all align is a rare thing. And so last month they were in Capricorn, right? The sign of building structures up. And they were making conjunctions to each other, and they were making conjunctions with the sun. So having this seeding process, this new birthing process with all of our personal planets, how we go about our personal day, our thought processes, our value system, our finances, all of that. We planted new seeds in January, which will not be able to be seen until the end of February, because these planets, when they're close to the sun, they can't be seen in the sky, right? They're kind of overshadowed by the sun. But as they start to get away from the sun, they will become visible in the sky again, which will, as above, so below. Then we'll start to see the fruits of whatever it is we were planting. At the end of the month, they moved into Aquarius and made conjunctions with Pluto. They've all been making conjunctions with Pluto, which is the planet of transformation. So not only did we build these new seeds, but we've also done this cultivation that we may not be consciously aware of, right? Or we may, of going through the weeds and pulling out, the dark things, pulling out what is no longer serving us and getting rid of it, so that we have a fertile ground for these new seeds to emerge. So now, as they are, so from the 1st through the 6th, they'll be here in Aquarius, kind of finishing up the lessons and the energy that we are putting towards, coming up with these ideas, these out-of-the-box things, what we want as a collective, how we want to engage individually within the collective, how we can think outside of the box and do things differently. How can we take the best from the past and bring it forward, but change so that things are better, right? That's kind of what the Aquarius energy is. And the personal planets are helping us shape how we are going to individually, make these transformations and adjustments as we need to. So then in February, after the 6th, all these personal planets, except for Mars, are going to be entering Pisces. So we will still have a stellium in Pisces this month, but it won't be as rare, because Mars is not going to join. Mars is going to hang out, keeping our willpower, our motivation, our desire to, stand up and fight for what we believe in the sign of Aquarius. But the rest of the planets will be making this stellium in Pisces. And this will be a big month as well, because as they enter and go through Pisces, each of these personal planets, first they had conjunctions with the Sun, then the Pluto. Now they're going to be making conjunctions with the North Node. So this is a big time period of transformation and change and aligning us to our highest and best version of ourselves that we've been going through since the beginning of this year. This is huge. And then they also, as they are here, are going to be making a pretty continuous, once they move here, they're going to be making a pretty continuous trine to Jupiter in retrograde in Cancer, which is going to be helping them work on, Cancer is our emotions. Jupiter retrograde is kind of really bringing this energy internal, expanding it, and helping us realize not only what wisdom we might need to bring from the past, but also just expanding our awareness of our emotional stability and getting us in touch with our emotions, because our emotions really are a guidance system. And we have been taught to kind of avoid our emotions, but that's really where our intuition comes in. That's where we can know, we can better attune ourselves to ourselves, and where we can make sure that how we are acting in the world is aligned with who we really are. Those types of things. They will also be making a sextile to Chiron before they leave Aquarius, which will bring a lot of opportunity for healing that Chiron wound, which we just read about with the Sabian symbols, right? So really working on that energy. And then they will be making a square before they leave also to Uranus in Taurus. So as the month progresses and as they leave the sign of Aquarius, before they do, they will be making this sextile to Chiron, having the opportunity for that healing, like I said. Then a square to Uranus, so feeling this challenge between where we are going, like having us make decisions basically. And Uranus rules Aquarius, so it's really helping us see what our values are, what needs to be shaken up, and how we can do it. What action items do we need to do? Squares are normally, felt as discomfort, but the thing about that discomfort is that's what gets us to take an action to keep progressing on our evolution of reaching our highest and best versions and doing the highest and best things for us. And then once they move into Pisces, we'll be having this conjunction with the North Node, followed by the trine to Jupiter. So a lot going on with the personal planets again this month, a lot of big movements, a lot of change, continual refinement, I guess you could say, after their new seeds and transformation have been planted. So then the other big thing, so the month actually starts out with a full moon on February 1st in Leo. So full moon in Leo will be February 1st. So this is, Leo is connecting us to our hearts and courage. Leo is also all about joy and leadership. So that'll be kind of the focal point for the full moon. And I'll be doing a separate video on that. And then on the 2nd, Uranus will be turning direct. So this is a big planetary shift. So retrograde, it's had this internal energy, right? Figuring out what we need to change, doing internal having internal realizations about our value system, about our finances, about our resources, kind of doing this internal realization about these things. And then as it moves direct, we should be able to start taking action on things that we have discovered we need to or want to change. The energy is going to be more externalized. So with the energy turning direct, it could bring because Uranus is the planet of unexpected things, right? So it could be an increased energy where sudden, unexpected, and sometimes erratic events occur, pushing for immediate evolution and liberation. So this can be in your own life, or it could be something that we are seeing on the world stage, such as sudden and unexpected financial shifts with our money, sudden shifts in our resources, our land, things like that. And so just keep that in mind. It also, Uranus turning direct, is kind of what gets us to get out of stagnant situations, whether that's jobs or relationships or routines or whatever, especially wherever Taurus is falling in your chart. It gives you that that momentum to make the change, right? Like you may be the one making this sudden erratic change that people are looking at you going like, I didn't expect that. Or you may be seeing that in other people. So there will be strong shifts in that. And anyone with fixed signs, so Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius placements in these final degrees will feel the shift most personally. And Aquarius being the ruler of Aquarius, Aquarius will definitely feel it the most. And just energetically speaking, it turning direct, you now have Saturn, which is your modern ruler, direct, and Uranus direct. So your energy should be coming back and should be kind of fully online after February 2nd. So yeah, the transition of Uranus going from retrograde to direct is moving from ruminating on what needs to change to make the to making the changes happen. So, and you might surprise yourself too, right? The stuff is going to happen more quickly. The pace is going to increase with these changes on the world stage in the Taurus areas, as well as in your own personal life in those areas, but as well as wherever Taurus falls in your natal chart. So on February 13th, we have Saturn here entering Aries, making its conjunction to Neptune in Aries, although the exact conjunction will not be until February 20th, but we will most definitely be starting to feel this as soon as Saturn enters Aries. This is a very big astrological event, which these two planets do meet up every 35 years or so. But like I said, and the last time that they met up in Aries, I believe it was in the early 1700s. But as far as I can see, they have never met up at this 0 degree point. And this is a world point, right? This is a point where the entire astrological wheel begins. This is the master seeding point. This is the beginning. And we have Neptune, the planet of like dreams and visions and ideals, and the planet of where the veil is thin and our connection to the spiritual world is open and things like that. And Saturn bringing that into our existence, right? Saturn is the material world, putting structures and boundaries and things like that. So this is the embodiment of our dreams and our visions coming into reality, of our spiritual world, like learning how to embody it as well. So that is a really huge thing. And that is why this could be the most important time of your life, because this is what this divine triangle, which you can see is also losing. This will come back as these planets continue to move forward in their direct motion, but the trine between Pluto and Uranus is a little weak right now, but it has been pointing us to this point, right? This is the important point of this mini grand trine that's going to be with us through 2029. So this is where we both collectively and individually are shaping our dreams into reality and really making this world what we want it to be. This is that big of energy. So then the next big day would be February 17th. We have a new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius. So the sun and the moon are going to join together at the 28th degree of Aquarius, and when a new moon or full moon is within about 16 degrees of one of the nodes, that is what creates an eclipse. And this is going to be an annual eclipse. It's going to be pretty powerful. It is said to last for about 2 minutes, which should translate then to this energy, this degree point being active for eclipse energy over the next 2 years. So this ending degree point of Aquarius is going to be a big thing, and I will be doing a separate video about this. But you know, eclipses kind of bring a Uranus type energy. It brings faded events, and with the North Node, it brings kind of new beginnings. New things are showing up, which generally, you know, along with the new moon, is hopefully going to be bringing new things, good, exciting new things. There's a lot of new energy here going on. So hopefully that will be good unexpected events, good changes for you coming to you. But like I said, I will be doing a separate video on that when we get closer. Then, like we talked about on February 20th, we have the Saturn and Neptune making an exact conjunction in Aries, and I'll be doing a separate video about that as well, because that is pretty huge. Then on February 25th, we will be having, I haven't advanced, we're still on February 20th, but we will be having Mercury station retrograde in Pisces. So that will be, you know, all the typical Mercury retrograde things, but I will talk more about the Mercury retrograde in Pisces energy, Mercury retrograde in water sign energy, as we get closer to that as well. But towards the end of the month, February 25th, Mercury will turn retrograde, so we can see some of those communication problems happen, potentially problems with travel and, you know, vehicles. This also represents, you know, like our local community and things like that. So technology. So there could be hiccups and things there once Mercury turns retrograde at the end of the month. So that is really the month's forecast. I am looking forward to doing the forecast by sign this month. I hope to get those out both separately and to attach them to this video as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I also have a couple more Neptune and Aries videos on the docket, so stay tuned. Give me a like, a comment, a subscribe if you like the way I go through these things, and keep your eyes out for the next video. Until then, have a great day.